I'd like to welcome everybody to the 12th episode of Money Trees. I'm your host, Khufu, Khufu, and I am joined by your plug's favorite, Miss Issa Wong.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk.
Yo, it's crazy. We met at we actually met pretty recently. That was the Rolling Loud New York at the DJ Five Venoms event. And Air Jordan put me on and was like, "Yo, you have to talk to Issa. She knows so much about NFTs." And I had been going on and on about NFTs. And yeah, we like hit it off right away. Yo, you were on. It was so fire seeing somebody else from the city because I really don't know that many people in New York that are like in music and rocking with NFTs so heavy.
Right, I think a lot of people are scared of it and kind of don't trust it. And so that's why they don't really know how to get involved or if they should and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was funny because I don't mention like there's not that many artists that are on it. You sent me a link to a party last night, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the
Oh,
one that I was
yeah.
planning on going to. Like, it's that small of a spot that the events. It's like if you can get them going, you'll get everyone that cares about the scene on them. Did you end up making it out?
I did. I got there a little bit later, like when they
Okay,
played the video, but I made it like right at the end. It was really cool.
nah, that's fire. Yeah, Bronxland. Shout out to Future Legend. They smoking it right now. I was actually playing your playlist on the way in.
Oh, that's amazing. You like it? I haven't listened to it in a while. I have to.
So, can you talk about like 513 development?
Sure. So 513 development, it started off as business development, small business development. I'm from Harlem, so I was running a store and doing all their marketing. And everyone in Harlem has their own business or their own hustle. So basically, from working in that store, I just met a bunch of people that needed help. And a lot of the people were artists. So basically, 513 development now is really focused on artist development, and seeing an artist as a brand and just helping them see themselves as a brand and kind of like execute everything on a schedule when it comes to social media, help them understand how to improve their metrics as far as streaming and just making things doable for them on a independent level and on a smaller scale. So they're not as intimidated or so that they see that they can grow as an artist without being signed.
Ooh, so when you saw NFTs, I see why you immediately got into the space. That's how did you do you remember like how you when you first saw it?
I think there was an artist that dropped some kind of collab. I definitely know when Tory Lanez had the $1 NFT, that was when I really started to look at it in terms of how to incorporate it into a rollout on a smaller level. Because that's the first NFT that I ever purchased was the Tory Lanez one. So I think that was really the website ENFT does a lot of collabs with artists. So they did, I think, Chris Brown, Soldier Boy, and some other people. So that was really when I started to research more.
So as you're starting to figure out like artist development and what that looks like with this new world or new space, how have you been talking to artists about it? Like what's your approach with them?
I try to show them examples of how it can be incorporated. Some of the artists come to me asking me about it because I think it's starting to become something that's just part of what they see all the larger artists doing. So just like you see larger artists have shows and drop merch and they want to do that and have music videos or get interviewed, they also want the NFT just because they're seeing all the other artists do it. But there's certain artists that just look at it as temporary and like it's like a fad, and they don't really want to get involved. And another issue with the artists that do are interested in NFTs is that they're nervous about their fans like setting up a wallet. So that's like kind of really specific, but that's one of the reasons that they kind of don't even try to involve themselves.
And that's so crazy because setting up a wallet is like 1,000 times easier than setting up a bank account.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. But I get it because the security around it is just, or at least I'm not the security. Like the explanation around the security around it is so just not clear. Like I talk to people about that, and I usually talk about this at the end. But the reason I say seed phrase, we need to not use that term because that doesn't really sound as dangerous or as important as it is. Because like if you lose your seed phrase, you lose access to everything that's in your wallet. And once you tell someone that, they're like, "Whoa, whoa, wait a second, I can never get it back." It's just like that's definitely been a deterrent for me when talking to people about getting them set up with crypto. It's like they just feel like there's no safeguards in place, and then you start hearing about scams and that all the licks that people are hitting. Which I don't know. I feel like people are gonna scam no matter what the business is.
Yeah, it reminds me when I was growing up and my mom used to be like, never order anything from the internet because they're gonna steal your information. Like I kind of feel like that's where we are. It's just it's so new that people are scared. Like I remember even when Face ID came out for iPhone, I was kind of nervous to use it, and now it's like normal. So I think that's part of it. Is people are just the new vocabulary is scaring people a little bit. I think that was for me also. Like even just the word blockchain, it took me a long time to like understand that it's just a word. Like it's not that it's not like rocket science. It's not that complicated. It's just like I said, it's like the new vocabulary. So it's like we're all kind of learning this new language, and once it becomes everyday use to everyone, then I think more people will use their own NFTs.
Yo, your analogy with FaceTime is so on point because when I remember when they were, I mean, not FaceTime, Face ID, when they were like, yo, you're going to be able to unlock your phone with your fingerprint. I was like, man, this is sketchy. And then when they did the face, I was like, oh, nah, no way. There's no chance I'm using my face. And now I'm like, bruh, please don't make me enter my passcode. What do you mean? Like, I roll over in bed and the pillow's still kind of covering it, and I'm like, ah, damn, I gotta like fully lift up.
Yeah.
Is it's so convenient now, and so I think that that's a big thing. Like blockchain, cryptocurrency, there's so much of a stigma around a lot of these words that when people hear them, they immediately shut down. And to your point, I completely agree. Once you're using it and you don't even realize like what it's called, that's when we're really going to have that adoption and people are going to be into it because it's not going to be about the technology for them. It's going to be like how they're able to use the technology itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we change topics, I really wanted to touch on one thing just because being up in Harlem, I feel like as New Yorkers, we know I'm in downtown Brooklyn. Like, we know to look out for the scam. Like, we are in the city of scammers. And so it's kind of easy to navigate in the Web3 and NFT space. But I wanted to ask you if you have like any funny, shareable scam stories.
um Let me see. Well, I know there's a big. I mean, I don't know how funny it is, but I
All
know.
right, well, not you're like, I don't think that this one's funny, but
I mean, I just know like on Instagram, that's probably the biggest scam. Like sometimes I try to um respond to some of those weird kind of like mass bot DMs to see what's going on. And so I've just tried a couple of those for artists where they promise all these things. Oh, I know one. Okay, wait, I have a good one. I saw someone had like playlist placement available, and they said it was for Lyrical Lemonade. And so I'm looking through, I'm like, oh, this is great. And then when I finally placed it and paid and everything, it was not the real Lyrical Lemonade. Like they just put like a fake title, a fake everything. And the guy was kind of in my face, like, haha, no, I mean, you didn't look at it, so I don't know. It's not really funny, but that's how it works.
okay, wait. I can't let you be alone in the sad scam stories. No, that wasn't that funny. but no, I got you. Look. So I used to have one of the Mac Pros, the one that looked like a trash can though, not the big silver ones. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna flip this. And so I went on Craigslist and said, "All right, yo, let me just sell this Mac Pro." And then somebody hit me maybe a day later. It was like, "Yo, I'm gonna Venmo you the bread right now, and then I'm gonna pick it up in a little bit." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that works." Because I'll make sure it hits my Venmo, and then I'll transfer it to the bank, and then yeah, I'll give him the computer. I'm like, he's kind of tripping. Like, how does he know I'm not a scammer? Psh, red flag number one. I don't know how I missed this. So anyway, so he sends me the money, and then I transfer it to my bank, and it's like, yo, it takes 2 to 3 days to process. And I'm like, all right, well, now I'm good. I see received on the phone. I see the transfer is pending. I'm like, yeah, I'm straight. Go and give him the Mac Pro. I'm still leaving a little sketched out, so I'm like, yo, like checking the license plate, checking to see like who this is. Take a little video of everything, do the exchange. Homies is mad cool, dap me up, bounce. I'm like, man, what a nice New York exchange, huh? Feeling all chipper. Next morning, I get an email from Venmo saying my account has been suspended for fraudulent activity. And I'm like, hey, yo, what do y'all mean? And ended up calling them. They're like, yeah, whoever bought that from you, um, they used a fake credit card. And so we're canceling that transfer to your account. And oh, since you just told us that you used Venmo to sell something, we're permanently banning you forever because you're not allowed to sell on the platform. And so yeah,
What?
that's yeah. People be like, "Yo, you got Venmo?" And I'm like, "Hey, yo, man, nah." Cash App, shout out Square.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, but New York is dope. New York keeps you on your toes, man. I love that. I didn't really feel that bad after that happened. I'm like, damn, they earned that. Like that was a convincing little lick they pulled. Um, Speaking on the city though, you interview yourself a bunch of really talented acts. I feel like that's one thing that we definitely kind of connected over was the way you keep your ear to the city. And who are some of the musicians that you're most excited about right now?
I was saying that like last night the NFT launch was for Rocky Snyder and J Prob. I've been following them for a while, like since I first started getting into music. So I love their visuals and how different they are. I don't feel like you can really compare them fully to anybody, and I think they're a cool team because it's like, I mean, they're not a group, but I just love how they play off each other. I really love Pink Tacos, which they're kind of more like rager type of artists, and they just have a great community around them. And whenever they perform, they you're gonna remember who they are if you ever see them perform. And they're just really humble, sweet people. Even though in the city they're pretty well known. Um, so those are really my favorites. I mean, in terms of drill, there's a couple girls doing their thing with drill, like Ice Spice is really cool out of the Bronx. Um, so of course, I mean, Loyal Deuce has been around for a while. He's another one that I'm really excited to see more of. But yeah, those are my picks, I guess.
So it's interesting you started off with Rocky and Jay because my follow up was going to be like, how do you see some of your favorite artists really being able to take advantage of Web3 in ways they may not be right now? And so with Rocky and Jay and the with Future Legend, I don't know if they are or are not a group. I need to ask them, but I know that they're moving. Like they do have a collective called Future Legend that stars the two of them. That was who presented that NFT video last night, Bronxland, or is it? Yeah, it was Bronxland. Um, anyway, thinking about the way that they did it, have you heard of Glass Protocol or Prism where they dropped? Because I hadn't heard of it
No.
until I saw them do it. Yo, it's a really ill looking like website. And I'll say this: I noticed that most of the Web3 spots don't really have great UI. So seeing this was kind of dope. I'll share the link, or I'll send it to you offline too. But yeah, Bronxland, J Prop, Rocky Snyder on Glass.xyz, and apparently they were the first artists to do it too. And to me, that's pretty sick. Like I think that we're already starting to get to that space where there's like everyone's favorites, so everyone's kind of already going to those platforms, but Instagram and Twitter didn't come about till hundreds of other social media platforms had came and went. So I don't know if we're really even seeing like the best versions of certain platforms and certain protocols yet. So it's dope seeing artists go and try out these new ones. Like I know people are giving a lot of love to Sound XYZ. Have you been seeing the sound drops?
No, I haven't.
So Sound XYZ is pretty cool with what they do. Like, you know, they center it around listening parties and really trying to get artists paid. I think that's the main thing that's dope about it. I wish that there was a bit more focus on music discovery and like, oh, we're not get into that. But Sound XYZ is dope. Just new music platform, and the fact that people are trying it out is giving people another outlet to put things out. So now with Glass, I'm sure that they're focused around visuals. So it'll be interesting to see if more music video people start head. Oh well, no, Alan Kingdom has one on here too. So I don't know what they meant by first on that. I'm gonna have to look into this. Something for the post roll. But outside of like Jay and Rocky doing the music video, what would be the number one tip you could recommend to any of those artists you just named for them to start doing NFTs in New York?
Well, I think it's important, even outside of NFTs, to have your own graphic designer. But just with everything moving into the metaverse, I think it's important for every artist to have a designer that creates like even like logos or is capable of creating images on deck that they like, even if they're a little out of budget, because I think that's really important. Because a lot of people who come to me and are interested in starting, it's like they're kind of picky about what they want, and I think that's kind of a good starting point. But I started working with this team of, it's like developers and some people with experience in crypto called JoinCoin, and they have something in the crypto voxel space that's I can get the exact link, but it's like rap.hip hop, and it's like a little, it's basically a virtual venue. So I'm working with them to kind of like book guests for the virtual venue, and it's like I think that that's a good starting point to like bring your audience into the metaverse, because the for crypto voxel, even though it's very like kind of like Roblox where it's really simple and your character, your avatar is like a mannequin, I think it's really easy to use on your phone. It's easy to log into it. And I think that that's a good place to bring your audience first as an artist. Like, okay, just click this link and you're in there. Click this link and you're going to hear my music. You're going to be in the virtual party. And so I think that's a good way. I think just create like getting moving your community into the space, it should be the first step. Like even if it's just a few people to click a link or to sign up, or if you have an NFT Instagram page with the art display, just to get people to follow it. I think those kind of like starting touch points are really important for artists, because their fan base already trusts them. So if they give them a way to engage with it, that's, I don't want to say safe, but more simple. I think it'll be a way for them to like feel like they can invest more into the world as a whole.
Yo, that simplicity is so key to onboarding, where you don't have to try to give somebody everything at once. You can just say, yo, here's a link. They click that link, and now it's another layer of fan interaction that they can have. I didn't even know about this. I'm definitely checking this out. Just took some notes on that because those types of simple interactions, you know, it can help endear a fan more to you in your story because it's another way to represent whatever it is you're trying to tell or whatever the story it is that you're trying to tell. Yeah, making that simple. That's really important. You touched on another really cool thing with inviting people to watch you perform virtually. So we've seen the fully blown out examples with the Travis Scotts and the Marshmallows on Fortnite. And we've seen some other kind of, I don't want to say, well, you know, less technically advanced, where it might be an avatar or it's even just an artist performing with some emojis that appear on screen, or they're literally not even virtual, where they're just performing with a green screen backdrop. And I think there's pros and cons to a lot of these different styles of virtual performances. If you had to pick a favorite type of virtual performance, or actually, better question, have you seen any virtual performance, whether it's just like green screen or full blown production, that blew you away?
Well, when Travis Scott first did the Fortnite performance, I thought that was really amazing because of how interactive it was. And now I know they still have the footage up where you can see, you could like drop out of the sky and fly around his head. And like, I think stuff like that is like my favorite way of engaging as far as the music, because it's like, I feel like with VR in general, the most like, enjoyable experiences are the ones that put you in situations that you could never be in real life, but it makes it feel real. And it sounds simple, but I feel like if artists incorporate that into the performance, that's what's gonna make people like wow them. But I've also seen like the Justin Bieber one was really cool. I know he was like sitting on a car, and it's cool when it really looks like the artist too. I know. Well, I've spoken to some people that were interested in kind of creating virtual performances, and they want to make a way that the audience can control the performer. But I think if there's a lot of, I just really loved the Travis Scott Fortnite one. It was fun. It was like you could do so many different things. You were enjoying the game and enjoying the performance at the same time, and you were a part of it. So I think there's more ways for fans to really be a part of it and feel like they're really close to the artist and contributing to the performance at the same time. Those are like the best ones, I think.
Yo, I'm with you on all of that, especially the Travis Scott Fortnite one. And I wonder if it's interesting hearing you say that that was your favorite, especially because that was the first one that, well, that wasn't the very first virtual performance, but it was kind of the first big one where we all were like, oh, wow, we see where this is heading. And I wonder if we all like it so much because it was first, and well, obviously it was really really dope. But just that fact that that set the bar so high, maybe we don't appreciate some of these other virtual performances as much because the number that I heard it cost for them to do, and it's unconfirmed, but it was something like $7 million to do that Travis Scott Fortnite thing. Like obviously that's a budget that most people don't have. But it brings up a kind of interesting thing that it might be better off for artists to be doing concerts in conjunction with already established virtual worlds like Fortnite, like Roblox had did their concert series or is doing their concert series, and that becoming an interesting as we call next step or next natural step in the evolution of these virtual performances is going on tours in games. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but I haven't been blown away by any of the dedicated virtual performances because they don't have that same interaction layer where sending an emoji is dope to me, but paying to have to do it and like, it's only so dope. And maybe dope's not even the right word. It's really not that dope at all. It's cool, but that doesn't make me say, wow, this is a decent substitute for seeing this artist live. But to your point, you want to set it up where this virtual performance is bringing something to the table that you would not have been able to get live, which they 100% were able to do with the Travis Scott and Fortnite thing. Not an endorsement of either one of those entities, but they smoked that concert show.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think well, I know on Oculus, I don't. I mean, not everyone has one. I guess that's kind of a problem with Oculus, but I think they would probably be able to design something that wasn't as expensive that still had like that same feel to it. Because I know even just watching a music video on the Oculus is like a crazy kind of experience the first time you do it. I mean, if it's a video with a lot of stuff going on, so maybe if they use that as more of a platform for people to engage, it'll be better.
I think Oculus is going to have a boom this year. I've been seeing so many people talk about it, and it's still decently expensive. I think it's $300, but with the shortages of PS5s and Xboxes available, I could easily see more and more people starting to pick up VR gaming. And even with Xbox and PS5, there haven't been a lot of big name games that have come out for them. They're still on GTA 5 a decade later. So there's going to be a huge boom, in my opinion, for the Oculus VR space, and I hope a lot of artists get involved with that. Because I remember one of my favorite iPhone games used to be Tap Tap, and I don't know if the makers changed. I tried to play it a couple months back, and there was an ad in between every game. I don't know what was happening. It was too much. But I remember Tap Tap and thinking, yo, this was the pinnacle of mobile gaming. I'm having as much fun doing this as I would playing Guitar Hero. And whenever we start getting some of those legendary type music VR games, I think that would be freaking really sick. Freaking really sick. I sound like I've been living in SoCal for entirely too long. Um, but yo, I want to say thank you for coming on here and chopping NFTs and 513.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it again. I'm glad to be a part of it.
So before I let you go, I always ask two questions. And the first question I kind of prefaced already, but part of me changing the I want to repurpose seed phrase.
Mm.
And part of me repurposing seed phrase is asking people what is their seed phrase and not your security key, but instead the idea of money trees is, you come on and you plant a tree, and this tree will grow and be a part of the wonderful rainforest that you're establishing in your career with all the dope things that we talked about that you did earlier. Talked about earlier that you did. There you go. English. I speak it. I promise. Anyway, what I'm getting at is the seed phrase is the motto to this rainforest. And if you had a seed phrase, what would it be?
It's kind of short, but mine would just be keep going.
Okay.
Corny, but
I don't think it's corny at all.
I just feel like with especially since I work with artists, I think that's something that I learned from them. So I know like a lot of people who work with artists sometimes they think they're kind of unrealistic about certain things, and a lot of the business side is getting them to understand what's realistic. But I love that they're not realistic. That's one of the reasons that I prefer working with them, and I really learned from them to keep going because I've seen artists where they go from no one knowing who they are to like blowing up, or like they're everywhere, their TikToks everywhere, they're collaborating with everyone. So I think keep going would be is kind of a big thing behind my brand. Is just encouraging everyone to just keep going. Even if you have one fan, that's what I always tell people. If you have one fan, that's just because you just started. Like it's not everyone started with one fan, whether it's Kanye or Britney Spears or Beyonce, whoever, they had to start somewhere. So if you keep going, that's all that matters.
Oh, we're going to have to clip that. Woo-hoo-hoo. I love it. I'm going to keep going. My other question to you is what is the reserve price of your Money Trees 12 note going to be?
Um, Honestly, I'm not sure. So I don't know how to do that.
Any price, any price. That's the guests get to determine it.
Okay.
From
Um.
from a dollar to the highest. Somebody did two million the
Oh,
other
really?
day. So
Oh, man.
yeah.
I always set mine at like 200.
US or ETH?
Oh, well, I was thinking U.S., but E sounds better. But I don't know. Well, I would if it was. I mean, I guess 0.01 ETH. What is that? That's like 300 or six.
Point one is 300. Point zero one I think is like 30.
Okay, so zero point 0.1 ETH.
Point one.
Yeah.
Let's calm. There it is. Yo, I'm sure you are my plug's favorite. He be up in Harlem all the time. Shout out Mo. Yeah, yo, thank you for joining me, and we will chop later. Keep killing it. I'm gonna stay updated on 513. I'm gonna throw your playlist on too. Vibe out for the end of to end my day.
Oh, thank you so much again. Thank you, everybody.